Oh, we're active. We're active, everyone. We're active. Bam. Oh, yeah. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Chain Out. Ryan.
I've got a baby that's sleeping 2 rooms over. I don't want to wake him up.
Welcome back to the Chain Out Podcast, the show where we talk about all things disc golf, mainly the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And we're going to jump in today. Let me start by just introducing ourselves. My name is Elijah.
I'm Ryan. You see it over here in this little area.
My name is Corvino.
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 Corvino
Also
is
known as
our Mexican City friend that's joining us today. So
Mexican City, Mexico City,
sure,
Mexican City.
they're both right. They're both right.
Any Mexican city.
Guys, today we want to talk about DDO, the Dynamic Disc Open, and this was a great tournament across the board. Were either of you able to watch this live?
I was watching it off and on throughout the weekend. I did catch the end. I watched the playoff for FPO. And then I watched majority of final round for MPO. But I tuned in. Well, I say majority. Actually, I took it back. I watched like the last half of MPO. I tuned in late, and Calvin already had like a 6-shot lead. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Oh, yeah. He was goated, bro. Corbin, what about you?
I'm big round one guy. YouTube, go crazy. And then just following along on PGA. So,
Oh, yeah. Corbin, you don't pay for the network, right?
no, I would never do that.
Yeah, that makes no sense. That makes no sense if we have a podcast that ever tune in.
Well, I'll be honest. I thought about it. I did think about it. And then I realized that if you pay for the basic one, you only get what YouTube gives you, except for like when USDGC comes around. And
Yeah.
like that's in Worlds, I think. And then if you have to pay extra money to get all of the tournaments. And I was like, I'm not paying that much when I can just follow and then watch Jomas.
Well, I
That's
think
true.
the basic one's
Jomas-
free. I think the basic one's free. It's just first round. Like the lowest level, you get all rounds. And then the pro, you get like all rounds and all majors.
Well, I couldn't remember, but I don't know.
I pay for the pro.
say.
Oh,
But
shoot, bro.
But like we get it for half price being PDGA members.
I'm not a
And so,
PGA
like-
member either, so
Okay. So for you, like if I wasn't a PDGA member, I wouldn't pay for pro 100%. Like I would just pay just to see weekend to weekend.
yeah, I think the thing that stopped me was the fact that it's live coverage is iffy anyway. I enjoy watching it live, I really do, because I get to see it live. Something about seeing it live is just better than seeing it post.
Yeah.
But also quality is a lot lower than post, and commentating is a lot lower than post.
Yeah.
And then
Commentating for sure. I will say that like I paid for it last year. They've definitely stepped their game up this year.
Yeah.
Like I do see that like the improvements that they said they've made coming into this season. I have seen the improvements.
oh yeah, okay. So DG and Basic gives you access to watch live coverage of the first round of all DGPT and PGA Pro major events at one device at a time. Additionally, watch all live rounds of U.S. Women's Disc Golf Championship, Champions Cup, Chess.com, and MVP.
So I don't know
And
what I
then-
pay for. I pay for
That's-
like whatever I get. You get. I can watch all the rounds. It's just not the pro.
I'm bougie and I pay for
And
the
then
pro.
standard,
That's
it
what I
gives you access to watch live coverage of all Pro Tour and Pro Major events except European Open, USDGC, and Throw Pink. And then Pro gives you full access. So
Yeah.
but it's like
Yeah.
even to pay for, you don't get to watch European Open or USDGC, and you have to pay $13 a month, or you can give them $130 for the year. It's like no.
If you really want to like finagle it, you can just do just pay for the pro subscription for like just those months that like USDGC happen and European Open happen, and then you can get away with playing the standard the rest of the year and not miss anything.
True.
That's true. I'm trying to figure out what I'll do for like majors because I can't get. Obviously, you won't be able to get USDGC or European, so we'll figure it out.
But I did. Was Germ was on live coverage this week, huh?
Yeah.
Was he?
That was cool. Like that was just cool. When I was watching
Honestly,
highlights and stuff, he just made it so much more interesting.
I would say he should just stick to that, but he's actually been playing relatively
He's been
well.
playing good.
Man,
like
we've missed the last couple of weeks, but I mean, it wasn't Champions Cup, it was Jonesboro whenever he was in top
yeah.
10.
Yeah.
And
Music
Paul
City,
Macbeth was in top 10. Music City, that's what it was. Music City.
City.
That was right. We did the Jonesboro recap. But yeah, there was like ran it back to 2015 with Ricky, Germ, Macbeth, like all just kind of showed up out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was awesome. Hey, let's dive into the Dynamic Discs Open, and this is a cool tournament. I think last year's was so bad to watch that it actually made this year's so much more enjoyable. Like, and Brody Smith's entering the conversation, we should probably like figure out a different way to play it, So, no offense to Brody, love you, guy, but seriously,
Was last year's the really windy one?
I think so, yeah, because
last year was when Parker Welk won.
Oh, that's right, Parker won. Maybe 2 years ago.
Was that 2 years ago? Whenever it was so incredibly
windy.
I think that was 2 years ago.
And then Parker like chased down Calvin last year and won.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know who to me is a worse winner, Presnell or Parker Welk. At least Presnell.
Parker was kind of new on the scene. Presnell's been around on the scene for a while, and then just popped up and showed out of nowhere.
Bro, I don't want to jump ahead, but dude actually he got 5th.
No major hangover.
What the heck? All right, well, let's dive in. I think both FPO and MPO were really good across the board. I was able to watch I missed the first 6 holes of MPO, but I watched all the rest. I didn't get to see FPO at all live, but I did see, I went to the PDGA live and I saw that they were going into a playoff. And so I think I was like, dang. And then immediately I'm like, okay, where's Kristen Tatar? And she's not playing this tournament. I was like, okay, that makes sense. That's adding up. But let's talk about it. FPO had a great finish. I didn't get to see really anything live FPO, but the finish was awesome. I went back and watched that on Jomez. If you haven't done that, go back and watch that. It's a really good storyline, honestly. Ryan, what happened, man? Tell us the deets.
So I was watching I think I caught the last 9-ish holes, and then I caught the playoff. We were getting ready for church and doing stuff, and so I didn't get to watch all of it. Or I just gotten home from church and whatnot. But so Emily Weatherman, a Texas local from Abilene, she was actually back and forth. She had made the league card after the first round, stayed up on the league card, I think, the whole weekend. She had a share of the lead at one point. Holland was up there. Lisa Fakis was up there. Haley King and Missy Gannon ended up getting to the top at the very end. They both, they both shot 3 under, and both went. I'm looking at the scorecard right now. Missy went bogey par on 16, 17, 18, and Haley went bogey, birdie, bogey on 16, 17, 18 to end up going into a playoff. This was the first time I had watched them do an aggregate playoff.
Yeah.
Have either one of y'all seen that before?
I've never seen that. I did like it, though.
I always thought it was sudden death, but I did like that they played 16, 17, 18, and if it had been tied after that, then it was going to go through 16, 17, 18, sudden death again. And
that's up to the tournament director.
I think that's kind of a very different way to go about a playoff, but I think that there should be more playoffs like that rather than just sudden death, because it can kind of create a little bit more tension and create some more action there at the end of the tournament.
Yeah.
And not just be based off of one really bad shot. But in the playoff, they went to 16, 17, 18. Correct me if I'm wrong. They swapped 16 and 17. Yes? 17 used to be the island.
No, 16's always been the island.
16's
16's
always been the island.
Yeah,
So
they
17's
they pretty much have it the same as what it's always been. 16,
Okay.
17
I know that
is
they
like the par
changed
4.
I know that they changed 18, where you have to like play
Yeah.
across the water to the landing area and then possibly play across the water again to the green. But I thought that they had flipped those. Okay. So on 16, Missy goes first, throws her shot, looks like it's going to end up turning and going into the water out and having to go to the new drop zone. And she gets the luckiest little water skip and gets inbounds by a disc at about 35-ish feet. Haley throws hers just long and left of the pin to 20 feet. Missy runs the putt, cashes it high left side. Haley cashes her putt, and then I ended up having to leave after that, and so that's all that I saw. But
Dang, bro.
So what happened on 17 and 18?
Okay, I'll tell you. So they go tied into wait, maybe I'm wrong. What did she get on 16? What did Haley get? I think they went tied into
They
17.
both birdied. Yeah.
And so 17 is that par 4, the one that we saw Paul do really well at in the Worlds a few years ago. And Missy Gannon has an incredible shot. Haley King struggles. She has a bad first shot. She has to lay up, and then she ends up taking a bogey on that. So I think it was Missy got a birdie. So she took a birdie, had a really good approach, took a birdie, and then Haley took a bogey. So she had a 2-stroke lead going into the last hole. And so that's such an advantage. Missy, hole 18, lays up pretty much. Honestly, it wasn't a very good layup, but it was good enough. She had a lot of strokes to play with. Haley throws OB off the tee. So that pretty much solved it right there. So Missy was able to go across. She actually ended up taking the 3, I think.
They both got par on that last hole of the playoff hole. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because she laid up to the edge, went across. Yeah, so it was a lot of excitement. I don't know if I love. I like the aggregate for sure. It sucks that Haley King kind of choked a little bit. But she also choked. She choked on 18 to start
to go into the playoff. It looked like she was trying to lay up because with that, because if y'all have ever seen, not obviously y'all, but I'm saying to other people that may be listening or watching, if you've ever watched DDO, the changes that they made to 18 was they moved the basket across the pond, probably 200 feet or so from where it used to be.
It's not too far.
And so you've got to play to the old fairway like you're going to old 18's basket, and then if you're in the good spot, you can go all the way across the water to get to the landing zone, to get to the green to have a chance at eagle, or you just lay up to the end of the fairway and go across again. And it looked like Haley had laid up and then in regulation, and then she tried to throw a Toro or something and just never gave it enough and threw it too high, and it just came up 15 feet short. She ended up taking bogey and had to go into a playoff and lost.
Yeah. Crazy.
2 years in a row that Haley King has had to go to a playoff at DDO. She won in a playoff over Holland Hanley last year.
Yeah, that's right. So kind of a crazy finish. Also, a part of that finish, you talked about Emily Weatherman. She had a crazy kind of OB situation on hole 18. She was tied with Haley King in them, and she went literally on the paint. I don't know if you guys saw this. She is on the edge of the paint and the grass, and they're it looks like they're counting how many pieces of grass are paint and how many are just grass. And they end up calling her car mates end up calling her out. Which that's tough. That's a really That's a really tough one. I'm like, if it's close enough, if it's that
Benefits to the
close,
player.
yeah, if it's that close, it should go to the player. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's just ridiculous a little bit. Kind of,
It just sucks that like the line is out of bounds. Like it's got to be, if this is the line and this is inbounds, it's got to be barely touching this way. But if it's here, it's no good.
Yeah,
It's,
And
I think it should be like soccer. Like the entire ball has to be over the line. If any part of the ball is touching that line, like if it's
right.
the millimeter on the end of the ball and it's touching the line, it's not a goal. Like it's
well, and I think that's basically what it is. If there's a millimeter that's not, if it's on the line, like it's out of bounds, you only need a millimeter of that disc being inbounds.
Yeah, it looked like they were just looking like under the rim to be like, okay, where's this line?
Yeah,
And I'm like,
if it's
it's
that, well, granted, it probably would have been that way if it's not for the lead.
yeah,
Like if you're in the lead, your card mates probably aren't going to give you as much grace as if you're in 25th.
yeah, that's probably true.
that's true.
So kind of a bummer way for her tournament to end, but
Yeah.
What do you think, Corbin?
I just want to say I am unlike both of you as far as the playoff goes. Sudden death I think is kind of necessary. It's the pressure aspect of it, but also you just had 3 rounds to play your tournament and you guys are tied. So we're just going to play an extra hole, and if you tie, then we play another hole. If you tie, we play another hole. But if you win the hole, then you win. It's like sorry about you. You don't get 3 more chances at trying to beat the other person. You already got 3 whole rounds. You get 1 more hole, And I think the sudden death is not only more exciting, because like Haley King or Missy Gannon goes out of bounds on 16, and it's like, well, she still has a really good shot of coming back and tying it back up. Where in reality, if you're fighting for a win, you don't get to mess up a shot.
Right.
Like that's for you to do in your round. After your round's over, it's like let's just get it over with.
Yeah,
You go ahead.
I was gonna say I think that it has to be the right definitely the right hole, because there are some holes that they pick a hole that gives an advantage to a certain player. So which it's hard not to do that. I mean, I don't know how you don't do that in a way. But if like someone's forehand dominant and the other person can is not good at forehands, and then they go, hey, let's play this hole as our playoff. That kind of sucks for that person who that's their worst hole on the course. That is a bummer. So that is a reason I think the aggregate does help the overall, like the person really does deserve it because they had to face those 2 different holes. But I agree. I do like the playoff. I think it just adds more. Who doesn't like a sudden death? I mean, to me, they have to run the putt. They're not laying up putts. They're not trying to
right.
see how it goes.
Right. And it's like 16 is a great example of a hole that doesn't really give an advantage.
Right. I like that.
You have a ton of space and you both have the same landing spot. And it's like you get to throw whatever shot you want that you feel most confident in to put it on the island. If you don't and you fail or you miss your putt, you lose. Like that's just part of it, I think.
My thought on 16
but
is
I can see on courses that maybe don't have a hole like that, putting something like this in place, or 2 or 3 holes instead of 1.
Yeah.
But when you have a hole like that at a course like this, that's it's an iconic hole too. So it's like, why are we not just playing that hole?
My thoughts real fast, Ryan. My thoughts on 16 is I hate that they were allowed to lay up right. Not that any of them did it, but the fact that
FPO was
allowed to. That's what I'm saying.
I saw multiple FPO players doing it.
What's what I'm saying?
Like
I'm like, it shouldn't. It's too short of a hole. Everyone can reach it.
Yeah.
So it's like it's too short of a hole not to have it where you have to go. And what if, who went first? Missy went first. So what if Missy goes OB and Haley just goes, okay, I'm gonna play to the right, pitch over to the pit. That's the terrible way to end a tournament, in my opinion.
Well, what's funny is like the FPO players that I saw playing out to the right and then pitching up, I think I saw more of them take bogeys than pars.
Well, that's because they're
Because
not good enough
is-
to get the island in the first place.
I know, but but that's what I'm saying. Like even their approach shot from that right side like was still going long, and then they're like, oh, I don't want to miss my putt and go into the water, so I'm having to like lay up and then just take a bogey, when they could have just gone for the island, came up short, gone to the drop zone, pitched up, and made their bogey anyway.
Yeah, but then it's like Haley King, Missy Gannon aren't doing that. Like they aren't laying up and taking a bogey,
No, definitely
you know.
not.
And so
yeah, and
that's
I don't.
the situation that we're talking about, where it's like if you're winning a tournament, if you have the chance to lay up, you're going to win the tournament, you know, and you're not going to mess it up. And if you do,
Yeah.
you don't deserve to win the tournament. So
Yeah,
Yeah, I could see a situation where, because the drop zone was a 45-footer death putt, a really hard putt.
did you like the drop zone change
It's
from the old drop
it's
zone?
about the same to me. I mean, very few people made it from the other drop zone anyways. This one no one wanted to run it because there's water behind it. So I mean, the other one was better in the sense of it was like you had a backdrop on the other one, I guess, but I don't
it's just
know.
a
It
longer
didn't,
putt.
yeah, didn't matter to me either way.
It offered higher percentage chance of a par save, but a higher percentage of a double bogey by missing.
Right.
But it
The thing
just
is-
never came to fruition because I don't think anybody was in a position to have to do that.
I didn't see anyone even run it when I was watching live. I saw everybody.
That's
Like-
what I'm saying. Like, I don't think anybody was like felt like they were in a position like, oh, I have to make this 45-footer for par to stay in contention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then
But-
it's like a stupid change. Like why we want people to be running putts for par. Like we want that.
Yeah. The thing is, it would have been an interesting spot, because it is a very more makeable putt than the one across the island, across the water, just distance wise. Like it would have been interesting. Say you have a Calvin who makes the island, but it doesn't have a good putt necessarily. Ricky goes OB, and Ricky has to run a putt from the drop zone to tie. Like that's intriguing at least. Where it's like
That's the thing.
And then
I
they have
don't
two
think
more-
it-
two more holes.
I don't think it
Right.
offered. I don't think it offered more pars. Like
Yeah.
it probably ended up bringing in the same amount of bogeys, but it at least like makes players think like, well, I could run this, but if I run this, I'm making double bogey.
Yeah.
Whereas like I could be way more aggressive from the old drop zone, but it's a much lower chance of making par. Like these guys practice 45 footers pretty regularly. And so, I think there is a balance to it. If it's making, if it's still averaging more fours, then
I mean,
I
I would
see-
make it.
yeah, you would. Through all the videos we filmed for like last month.
I don't know, under pressure.
Under pressure, this is like nothing, dude. I mean, this is pretty much like the DDO, man.
He
Same thing.
flaunts it every time. I don't
It's
think
the
there's
same
been an
pressure.
episode that he hasn't brought it out yet. No, what I was gonna say was, whenever I was watching, I didn't even realize that it was an aggregate playoff at first, and so whenever Missy ran her putt, because like she wasn't at the drop zone area, but she was like right there on the edge, kind of close to the drop zone area, but like still had plenty of water to go OB in. And whenever she ran that putt, I was like, what is she doing? And then she made it, and then I was like, oh my gosh! And then they're like, oh, it's aggregate. I'm like, oh, okay, that's.
But
Sounds
she would have had to run it because of
Oh, for sure,
she was closer. The other one,
Haley King.
Haley. The other one of them. Okay, definitely worth watching. I say FPO, go give that a watch. At least just the back nine. It's a great, great finish. I'll read through the top 10 and then we'll move on to MPO. Missy Gannon, number 1. Also, we can kind of stick there for 1 second. She has 2 wins. She has a major and now a elite series. I think FPO is definitely way closer this year with Evelina has 2 wins. Kristen has 3 wins. So I like this kind of mixture of people winning. I think it's so much better for the sport. I like that Kristen's still winning But it's not just like obviously she wasn't here, but it's nice to have other names in the mix.
Yeah, two of those tournaments that have not been won by Kristen Tatar, she was not present for.
Right.
She still lost a couple, but
Yeah.
She lost champ. She's 0 for 2 in the majors this year.
oh,
It's true.
it's true.
I forgot.
We
I
were
always
talking about her
forget.
sweeping majors.
She's 0 for 2.
She sucks, dude.
I think we all said that she was going to win 3 out of the 4, and
No, I said one.
Jonathan.
Okay, Missy Gannon, Haley King. We got Emily Weatherman. We got the GOAT, Natalie Ryan. Holland Hanley, Lisa Fakis, Kat Murch, Emma Arp. Arp. The GOAT, the legend. Emily Beach. Oh, I can't ever say this girl's name.
Elizra Midling.
Oh my gosh. She needs to go by Ellie. She does go by Ellie. Ellie is middling. Owen Scoggins, Rebecca Cox. That's your top 10. Anything to say on FPO before we move on?
No, it's
Or
I definitely feel like there's more parity in the field whenever the Europeans are not there.
Yeah. There's only 43 players.
All in all, I thought it was a good tournament, FPO.
Shout out, just real fast. Shout out to Tiger Borth. Got 35th in this tournament. Shot a plus 32. Shout out.
We love you.
We do love you.
Cheering you on.
Future. I might pick her. I might pick her for the next tournament.
Copenhagen
Tiger time. All right, MPO. All right, new mission. We get this ARP girl. She's the first pro to be on our channel. That's the new goal.
Emily Arp on the channel.
We're getting her. ARP. It's
Emily.
ARP Nation.
We have to add her in the
All right, she's getting
description.
added. Okay, let's talk about it real fast. MPO is also a really good finish. You look at the scores, you might not think that because it wasn't as close, obviously. But there was a lot of drama throughout this final round. Ricky Wysocki had a 1-stroke lead on Calvin going into the last round and ended up losing by 7 strokes, which is kind of crazy when you think about that. Obviously, it played a little different because he had 3 straight bogeys to end his round. I think just trying to push things and trying to get up there. But what are y'all's thoughts? Final round, Calvin taking the dub, first time in 371 days,
just over a year.
So that's
just
crazy.
Over a whole calendar year, and he's the only time he's finished outside the top. Is the only time he's finished outside the top 5 was chess.com?
No, he had one at Music City too.
Champions Cup.
He was in the mix at Champions Cup, I think.
Top 5.
Not top 5 though. Not top 5. Dude, he played really well. I'm a Calvin fan, so when I watch, I like to cheer for Calvin. Usually just so disappointed in his putting. like he's just they said it on coverage, but I totally agree with them. They said if there's one person, he shot and putting for this round, he was 10 for 11 circle 1X, which one of those includes. So he was pretty much perfect from circle 1. The one that he laid up to on hole 18 is the miss.
The one.
Yeah. And then he was from circle 2, he was 3 for 5. So he was putting really well. And they said on coverage, Calvin is the worst person. Like if you're playing him, he's the one person on tour that you don't want to have a consistent putt because he is so good at throwing the disc that if he's putting well, he just can run away with it. So, and that's kind of what he did. But what are y'all's thoughts on MPO, kind of what we saw? Take it away.
Corbin's boy, Gavin Rathbun, popped up out of there. Uh,
I mean,
Dallas
you
local
know,
Mason Marchbanks, top 10
I
finish
think
for him.
you look at this as a different, like, even though a lot of the tournaments that we've been playing here have been kind of open, other than really Champions Cup and a little bit of Waco, but like pretty open,
Yeah.
giving you a lot of shot selection. DDO is just a whole different level of that, where it's like
Yeah.
rip your disc and putt decently well, and you're gonna play really well. And you can see by the top, the guys that you don't usually see at the top, you can see that that is the way the course is. Gavin Rathbone, the guy just rips the disc. Gavin Babcock finished top 10. Like, the guy can just smash a disc. Mason Marchbanks, like guys you don't usually see in the top 10 that are in the top 10 are just good at that. Surprise of the week for me was my boy Joey Anderson.
Joey
yeah.
Buckets.
Finished fourth, shot a hot round last round. He's not
Course
a guy
record.
who's course record.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not a guy who smashes the disc. He's not that type of player. He's a very smooth, very complete player, and I definitely wasn't expecting that, especially after his first couple rounds. 2 down, 7 down, and then 13 down, which is crazy.
94% C1X, 44% C2.
Yeah.
He's
So
up there like Andrew Marweed levels of putting.
Yeah. Here's the thing about Joey Anderson that and really DDO, but DDO it's pretty much if you put more OB at Jonesboro. Big throws, but Jonesboro, it's like you can kind of spray it a little bit and you'll be okay. There's so much OB on this course if you're just off. And so yeah, it's definitely a bomber's course. Like, you take advantage of those par fours. But people get in trouble because they go OB. And so that's why the scores aren't as high as, Jonesboro, some of these other places. It's still pretty high, 28. But that's why I think you see a guy like a Calvin, Gannon, Gavin, Joey Anderson he's very consistent. He's like very, very good at hitting his line and landing his disc in certain areas, which I'm very excited about. Dude, first off, he's 21 years old. So when we start talking about all these dudes who are the future of the sport, man, it might be time to start talking about this dude who has literally just been in the top 5 the last 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like when I watch him, I just think smooth. Like, I wouldn't say Kale LaVisca smooth, but he's
Yeah.
in that form of player where, like, I feel like Paul is a smooth player. I feel like Mason Ford, another
Yeah.
smooth guy, where their form is just immaculate and it just looks so nice. But like, he's even more towards Kale LaVisca than those two guys, and so it's like, I didn't really get to watch Kale LaVisca when he was in his late 20s.
Yeah.
Like when he's in all the prime of where these guys are. But I would assume that is somewhere close to what Joey Anderson's starting to look like.
Yeah. He's pretty awesome, man. I'm happy he's playing well, and very similar demeanor to Calvin to me. Like, he's just like never emotional, never rattled. Like, he's just like,
he's just very low key, goes about his business.
Yeah. Which
Looks
for a
little quirky.
For a 21-year-old, he's like the opposite of Gannon. Like, Gannon just cries the whole time and is whining and complaining, and I'm just kidding. I'm kind of roasting on Gannon a little bit, but Gannon's only a year or two younger or a couple years younger than Joseph. Joseph acts like he's like 30 years old. The way he his demeanor. So, I love him. I'm happy I definitely think he's getting a win this year, because I think his game translates to the woods too, which is, we have a lot of that coming up, and so it'd be interesting to see if he could grab one this season.
Well, I just keep putting more Castaplast in my bag, and he's just making me put more and more. By the way, guys, Castaplast, if you haven't tried out a couple of this, just go and grab a couple. Like, it is.
They've got some of the best feeling plastic.
Let me tell you this real fast, though.
What is that?
It's a AVR XD. It's pretty sick. It's a midnight plastic.
Is that disc
Ooh.
Corbin?
It's a new one, but the disc, yes, is definitely older. The mold, but they just came out this. Anyways, just a shout out.
Good job.
Just a
Man.
shout out. The Ricos are nice. He'd be throwing those Ricos around though.
I'm definitely going to get a Rico. I need it. I need that sort of disc in my bag, but
yeah,
might end up putting with those.
Ooh. Okay, let me just talk about the round real fast. I didn't really do that too much. Calvin just got off to a really hot start. Ricky did it as much, and really Calvin just took a huge lead. Kind of what you're saying. Like I think at one point he was up 5 or 6, and pretty much from there on a course like this, where you know there's a lot of safety unless you're trying to do crazy things. Calvin was just playing his game, and Ricky had to do something special. And there was a moment on, and I'm trying to remember the hole off the top of my head. I think it's 15. Oh no, it's 13. It's like the one that have to throw over hazard. It's a par 3. Calvin throws, hits and lands in hazard, opens up the door for Ricky. Ricky throws, lands in the hazard. And the story of the day was just Calvin made his putts. You know, every time Ricky had a chance to take a stroke, Calvin made a putt from 30 feet. And then really the biggest story from this, I think, with a 2-stroke game, hole 16. People are calling it the wall gate. If you didn't see it.
Oh, yes, I did see that.
Pretty much Calvin and Ricky. Calvin goes first, throws a shot that's not very good, and you know if you don't know the wall, it bends and then kind of comes back a little bit. Well, Calvin
almost like a half, like a semicircle.
Yeah, Calvin threw it. It looks like it was going straight OB, hit the wall, and kind of rolled back to the wall. So it rolled kind of towards the island. Ricky throws a very similar shot, hits almost the same spot, a little more speed, and I think he threw a driver. And it picks up and rolls back into the water. And so Ricky was pissed, obviously, like, dude, what the heck? Like, you could hear him talking about it. But that's just disc golf to me. I don't know what y'all's thoughts are. I think a lot of people are like, so random. That shouldn't be a thing. But me personally, I'm like, you know, they both threw bad shots.
Neither one were great shots, and one, you know, got a little bit better kick than the other. I mean, that is disc golf.
It's like hitting a tree, you know, like one goes one way, one goes the other. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I get what they're saying. Like, I guess it's different than a tree because it's a man-made wall, and it's there, and they put it there. But also at the same time, it's a wall that everybody knows is there, and if you're gonna hit the wall, you're risking the shot of it going out of bounds and rolling. So you know,
and if you're gonna kind of throw your shot not as hard and leak it out to the left side, like you don't want to miss and hit the wall near the pond.
And if you're gonna throw a driver, you know it's gonna be faster. You know it's gonna react more. And if you throw a mid, you know it's gonna react less. You're a pro disc golfer. You can throw a putter that far. So if you want to avoid that, throw a putter. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, and that was pretty much so. That hole gave Calvin a 3-stroke lead, and then hole 17, Calvin hits a tree. Ricky goes OB. Calvin hits a tree, and at this point, Gannon's still kind of in the hunt. Gannon's finishing up birdie. And so, what does Calvin do? From way out of position, throws a freaking dart over OB, which like Jerem was on the stream, and he was like, "Why is he throwing this? Like, play it safe." And Calvin just Calvin also ran his putt on 16 for no reason. Missed, but stay close. Goes on 17, throws an absolute dart like 400 feet over OB, parks the basket, and I think really just took over the tournament at that point. 18 can play safe, and just like that, he doesn't have to worry. He doesn't stress out on 18 going for an island when he has so many strokes to play with. But it's a great finish for Calvin. It's happy for him.
I think that's what confidence does. Like he's like, why wouldn't I throw the shot I know I can throw right now? Like I'm gonna show like I am the best player here, and I didn't win because of a lucky wall bounce. Like I'm still gonna birdie this hole, and
Yeah.
and I think he's just kind of like shoving it in people's faces a little bit with that.
Well, I think that's the perks of playing with the lead. I think it goes back to that same conversation that we've been having. It's like, he's got the lead, he's still able to be aggressive and put it in his own hands and go and ice the tournament whenever he wants to.
Yeah. And I think for a shot like that where it's a low ceiling, to get in bounce, he's probably looking at 350 to 400. I don't know a better person to throw a hyzer 400 feet low. That's an easy throw for him.
That's the throw that everybody talks about being a Calvin throw, is those low ceiling, just 500-foot lasers.
Right.
Yeah.
So congrats to him. I want to know what your thoughts are. Anthony Barela falls out of the top 10 for the first time this season. What are your thoughts on that? Ties for 14th.
Before the tournament, whenever I think of somebody that would play well at DDO, Anthony Barela is a guy that comes to mind. He's got the arm, he's got the distance. Like, he's been playing out of his mind this year, and so it surprises me that of all places for him to miss the top 10, that DDO would be the one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm looking at stats right now, and the surprising thing for me, I was gonna say, I assume he had putted really poorly. But that is not the case. 7 of 8 from circle 1, 5 of 5 from circle 2, round 1. He had a good round 1, 9 down.
He was a 91%
that's crazy
for the tournament.
Ooh,
round 2, 0 for 6, circle 2, but then he only missed 2 circle 1 putts. And then he made all his circle 1 putts and was 1 for 6 from circle 2, round 3. But with that being said, he circle 1 in regulation 7 out of 15, which I don't know how that makes sense because there's 18 holes. But circle 1 in regulation 7 out of 15, round 1, 8 out of 18, round 2, and 6 out of 18, round 3. Like, he just wasn't putting from circle 1.
41% for the weekend on his C1 and reg.
So it's surprising to not see him throwing well. But again, I think, like I said, DDO is just kind of a different type of course. Even though it's open and we've been playing open courses, it's different. Like I know myself, like when I go and play out in the wide open, it makes it so much harder for me to throw accurate shots because I have no gauge. But if you put one tree and I'm at the same hole, but put a tree somewhere, I'll probably be more accurate because I know I have a gauge.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, he's a professional. He's really, really good. So I don't think that might have been his problem, but it's definitely different than what we've been playing. And he's been dominating, and he still had a good weekend, but definitely not dominant.
He had 14 OB strokes.
Oh.
Yeah, that's this course. That is this course.
Maybe he just doesn't know how much his disc skips.
That's actually not the most, but it's easily the most within the top 20.
Yeah.
I mean, he had 14, and nobody else had more than Isaac Robinson had 12, and then nobody else had more than 9.
That's really surprising. That's really surprising that Isaac had 12 to me. He's so known for being able to land a disc where he wants.
Yeah.
So to have 12
he's been off this year.
Yeah.
So one person that I wanted to mention real quickly. I know we're not haven't moved to like flops yet, but Austin Turner.
Oh my gosh.
So I noticed Austin Turner in like the conversation, like he was up there a little bit, like after round 1, like he had a decent round 1 and he had a decent round 2. He actually had identical rounds, not like
just about.
Wise,
I mean,
but
-6.
-6, and then he finished off his tournament with a +2 round 3. If he would have shot -6 again, he would have finished in the top 10. And so to just fall off and have such of a bad round to finish your tournament is unfortunate because he's another one of those guys where it's like he's one of those guys where you could be like he's in the top 10 at DDO. Oh, makes sense. you know? And so it was just I was kind of looking forward to him having a little bit more success than what he ended up with after round 3.
Yeah. Man, so I think looking at the list, let me just go through the top 10. Calvin takes number 1. Gannon creeps back. He shoots an 11 down round, gets to second. Gavin shot a great round, 8 down. Kind of was in the running the last couple rounds, but he gets to third. Joey Anderson, 4th. Andrew Presnell, this is not a course I would associate him with, gets to 5th. Ricky ties for 5th, kind of falls back, trying to chase, which we'll kind of talk about that in a second. But Chris Dickerson, 7th, kind of continuing that consistency. Gavin Babcock, Isaac Robinson, Mason Marchbanks. Man, Ricky, I saw this stat. I haven't looked into it, but this is from what they said on coverage, this is only the second time Ricky has lost a Pro Tour tournament when he has been leading going into the final round.
Oh wow!
So plays really good.
Who was the other person that he lost to?
Chris Dickerson beat him at Champions Cup.
Dang.
So I don't know if that's all time. Like I do remember Paul coming back on him like in 2013 Worlds, or it's a very famous comeback. But I don't know if that's just saying Pro Tour, like the new Pro Tour, not like old school stuff. But that's a crazy stat to say the least, honestly.
Yeah.
A different Ricky stat that I heard was that it's actually been a longer period of time from now to his last major win than it was from when he first started to his first major win.
Wow.
That's crazy. I feel for him, man. He's so good. He's so talented.
Maybe it's either that or it was something. It had something to do with his majors, but it was something crazy like that.
Yeah. And we didn't talk about this, but obviously he was in the running at the major last week, Champions Cup. And dude, I was pulling for him, man. It's like I hate that him and Calvin. I hate that conversation for them. Where it's like almost the Carmelo Anthony thing, where it's like the most talented players to never win a championship. It sucks for them. Obviously, Ricky's won, so it's different for him in that way, but. He's in his prime and obviously dealing with injuries, but I hope he gets one. I really do. I hope he gets one soon. I hope Calvin gets one soon. I think both of them have a good chance this year, but it's just that monster hanging over him. So crazy.
Yeah.
But cool.
Flops?
Any other flops? I had a flop I just saw.
I have a couple.
You can go
I have
first.
to call them out. I have to call them out because when I call people out, they do well. So you want me to call you out. That's what I'm saying. Parker Welk, way to defend your title, man. Way to defend your title. Tied 83rd. What a great guy.
He's had a tough season so far.
Sorry, Parker. Didn't mean to. Also, Cole Rodolin, DNF after 2 rounds. Not a good look, man.
He actually he walked off on 16. He played the 3rd round, but he didn't finish the 3rd round. He walked off before they started the playoff for FPO.
Wow.
Well, I saw his last throw. He threw his shot on 16,
and then just
and then left.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah,
that should not be allowed. First off,
he made a post about it, on Instagram that I saw today. But yeah, it was that far. It was like, I'm just not going to finish these last 3 holes.
What did he say in his post? Because that's
not
insane.
what you want to see, man.
He just didn't want to score that score.
Give me 1 second.
DNF is I think you do get a score for DNF. I'm not sure though.
So he said FPO finished their round and had to run a playoff, which stopped our card for 45 minutes. I decided to walk off because the last 3 holes didn't matter anyway. People always say they are proud they have never dropped out, but I did it for logistical and practical reasons. This is definitely my first time doing so without being sick or injured. My play was really poor. However, I saw so much potential that just needs to be refined. Champions Landing has always been a tough track for me, but I won't stop coming back and giving it my all in future years. I apologize to all of the family and friends that I disappointed with this decision. However, my goals are set higher than holes that don't matter. Not proud of myself at all for throwing in the towel too early in round 2. I gave up and let myself spiral into a dark mental space. I'm very excited to get home and regroup for the West Coast swing. Miss you, Oregon.
That's crazy.
And so, I mean, he's like, what? He's 20 years old, right?
Yeah.
He's a pretty young kid. That's very much a 20-year-old, like, just throwing a hissy fit. Like, I don't want to be here, so I'm just gonna like.
You know who would never do
whatever.
that? Joey Buckets would never do that, bro.
Would never.
That's crazy to me. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's not a good look. It's reminiscent to me of like soccer players do this a lot. They get subbed off like late in the game when they feel like,
they're about to lose.
Well, I'm not doing anything, so I'm not going to try, and then they get subbed off and they get mad, and it's like you played poorly. You have to keep giving effort. Like, it's not to say like I'm going to continue to come back here and give it my all. Well, we just didn't see you give it your all. You didn't finish. Like, you had the ability to finish and you didn't.
Yeah, if I'm his company, it's
a weird one.
DGA, like, I'm like looking at going, hey, bro, we're sponsoring you to play tournaments, and like you just walking off is not helping our sponsorship.
That's probably a players meeting, or not a players meeting, but a company meeting kind of thing. Like, hey, we need you to come to the office, or we need to find some time to sit down on a call or something.
I called the principal's office. Crazy.
Yeah, pretty much.
For sure, a young guys thing. I could see that. For me, my flop was Aaron Gossage. He's been playing terrible this year. Really not putting himself. I mean, he had such a good year 2 years ago, and then good year last year, and then this year has just been just so average. Not even average, just bad. He finished 41st. This is like 2 years ago. Or a couple years ago, he was playing in Worlds here. For a world title, having a really good, putting well, doing all those things well, and just he finished the round at -4. He finished the tournament at -4. So I wanted to play better, man. I like Goose. I like his game, and
he had a decent first round. He shot 5 under in the first round, which was by no means out of it, but just shot even par on Saturday and went over on Sunday.
This course is not hard enough for these players to be shooting. Like, I saw Kevin Jones score. I'm like, bro, this course is not hard enough for you to be shooting 4 over through 3 rounds. You should be birdieing. Like, you should be, I think, easily getting to even. It's just crazy to me. But maybe that's just me, man.
It's not just you. Promise.
Ryan, who's your flop?
I mean, at this point, it's hard to call Brody Smith a flop. There was somebody else that I saw, though. Oh, darn it. Where did they go?
We're never going to get our foundation collab.
Never.
If we keep talking on Brody like this.
I mean, I think he's at least saying that he loves the game again, and he's enjoying the game again.
That's good.
And so, his play might not show it, and he's obviously, I think he's got he takes a lot more flack than he probably deserves, but I think he also kind of asks for it sometimes with his presence that he has online.
What about Ezra Aderhold?
That's a good flop. I mean, he barely made cash. I think he was last cash with Gossage.
Yeah.
That'd probably be a good one. He's definitely, like, this is a course again that he should be playing well. Albert Tam should be playing this course pretty well. Like, any of these guys that can throw really far.
There's a guy,
Matty O, T21, outside the top 10. Like, that's kind of shocking.
I might have been a few weeks ahead a couple weeks ago. But
I want to shout out Joe Carey. Got last place in this event. Shot a +41, 960 rated. How
way
is
to-
he
way-
playing?
way to
How is
stay
he
in-
playing in this?
Way to
tournament?
stay in
Why
there
is
and
he?
finish that though.
Why
Wait.
is he taking a spot in this tournament? Is what I'm trying to figure out.
Wait, hold on.
If you lose by 62 strokes, you should not be in this tournament. That's more than a round of disc golf.
His event was 926.
Okay, I was gonna say 960.
he
no
is
way
960.
41 over is 960. Okay,
He's
thank
960,
gosh.
but his event
I was like, I
average
can
was
do better than that. I
926.
promise.
But hey, Joe Carey, we'd love to have you on the channel soon. Prove me wrong, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's not even. It's not like he's like a local either. He's from Oklahoma, so
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay,
Anyways, that's it.
go ahead.
I was gonna say that's it. Well, you got
Oh.
anything else?
Well, I was gonna say I don't know much about the Copenhagen Open. I don't know much.
I don't know.
I don't know anything except for that it's in Denmark and it's next weekend. So
The next
I
one on
couldn't-
the list.
I couldn't even give predictions for that tournament because I don't know what's gonna happen. I
know.
don't know
I
the
need-
courses. I don't know anything. So
We'll just have to wait and see. I think.
should have looked, but I'll just go with Paul. European, great. So we'll just go with him. Macbeth, that is, not Ulibarri or Crayons.
Give me Antela.
Ooh.
Probably played this before. He knows it.
Yeah.
He's taking it. He's
Fair.
dominant. Ryan,
Are we sure that the Copenhagen Open is the next? Yep, May 10th through 12th. Copenhagen. Okay, who's all registered? I don't even know who's registered.
Just pick a guy, man.
just pick a guy, man. Get lucky.
Linus Carlson.
Oh my gosh, that was the worst take I've heard. That was terrible. There's no shot. There's no shot. Linus Carlson wins the Pro Tour. No offense, Linus, but it's just not the thing.
We'll
I mean,
see.
It's over there near his home turf, is it not?
Bro, I guarantee any pro in the world could play me at Alex Clark, and I'm beating them.
I have so many doubts about that.
Bro, don't
Yeah,
I
doubt
beat
me.
you at Alex Clark.
Same.
Bruh,
Literally 2 weeks ago.
I challenge any pro, literally.
I'll join.
Literally. So we'll put money on
I'll
it.
film.
Very little money. And you know what? I'm willing to do this. Any pro, if you want this thing, come play me at my home course, and we'll see if you can even take this off my hands.
The Mactown Cup is crazy. Let's go.
Read the
I'll
name.
also put up the Mactown Cup.
You can
0-time
win this.
Mactown Cup champion.
You can win this. All right, y'all. We've talked for a long time. It's time
A
to
long
it's time to
time.
bounce. Thanks for watching, guys. We love you guys. We're thankful. Make sure to subscribe. We're gaining our way slowly to 1,000, trying to get there before the end of the year. So help us out with that. If you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe. Invite friends to watch this with you. Listen to this. Do all
But
those
watch
things.
it separately, but watch it together. You know what I'm saying?
Multiple screens type of
Full
thing.
screen.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time on Mactown Disc Golf. Mwah. Oh, hold on.